Hello, welcome back for another episode of HunterTuned. Today I figured I'd show you guys around the car a little bit and kind of show you the coilover stuff and how the car is currently sitting. Now, so far so good with these coilovers. The dampening does work, and it definitely is a lot bouncier when you turn it to the left, and when you turn it to the right, it's definitely a lot stiffer. So this morning I actually adjusted the rear of the car, and hopefully the wind noise isn't too bad out here, but I adjusted the rear of the car so it is a half an inch higher than the front, and I also cranked the preload up in the rear just to kind of maybe get the ride a little bit better and stiffer. And I might do the same with the front here in a little while, and I'm probably going to crank up the preload in the front as well. I may actually go down like a 1/4 inch or so in the front, just because I think it would look a little better. Alright guys, so I'm currently driving around in my Civic, and I'm just going to kind of give my impressions of the coilovers so far. And they seem like they're pretty decent for the money, especially. They ride pretty smooth. They take big bumps pretty well. They ride like pretty much any coilover. If you haven't ever had a lowered car, you know, they may ride a little bit different for you, but if you've had a set of like Skunk 2 coilovers or Function Form coilovers, I would say that these are, you know, very comparable. The only thing is I feel like the spring rate is pretty soft compared to like a Skunk 2 or something like that. So I actually am going to be modifying the preload on the front suspension. I already did the rear. I cranked the rear preload up quite a bit, and I think I'm going to crank the preload up in the front as well to kind of get rid of any of the bounciness. Because currently, if I go over bumps, the front end kind of like walks around a little bit and bounces. So I'm going to actually crank the preload in the front and try to alleviate some of that from being an issue. Now, when you crank up the preload in the front, you have to make sure that you kind of match the sides together. So I usually just take a tape measure and I measure between the collar and the end of the threads to kind of judge, you know, how far to preload each side. Because like I said, you want to make sure they're even on both sides. And if anything, have it a little bit higher on the driver's side, so when you're the one in it, you know, it'll be level. Yeah, I'm going to go crank the preload up on the front of this thing and probably install some other eBay parts as well that I bought. I got a steering wheel, so I might be putting the steering wheel on because I personally don't like the look of the factory one. I like the aftermarket cheap eBay steering wheels. They seem to, I don't know, I just seem to like them. Okay guys, so I figured I'd give you kind of my overall impressions of the coilovers once again. I actually adjusted the preload on the front and I cranked them up almost as maxed out as it could go, and it made a huge difference. It rides even better now. It doesn't frickin' bounce around in the front as bad, and overall it seems to ride very well. I can't really do a lot of handling stuff with it right now because the roads are complete crap and full of snow, so that doesn't really help me out much. But overall, like, ride quality and comfort is on par with any other major coilover. It's kind of crazy how much China has stepped up their game in the last, you know, few years. I mean, even the quality of the turbochargers, the quality of the frickin' suspension parts, everything seems to be getting better, which is a plus for us consumers because, you know, obviously it's way cheaper. Now, overall, the suspension that I got, actually, that I posted in the description of the last video, or the second to last video, I think these shocks are actually for an EF chassis because the front is literally maxed out, and that's about as low as it'll go. So with the preload cranked up at least. So, you know, if you want to go lower than this, you might need to get EF spindles or, you know, have an EF chassis. Now, the only other thing now that I'm noticing with the car is that the seats are kind of an issue. I feel like the car would feel a lot better if I had a set of buckets, like a set of racing seats inside the car, because the stock ones, obviously you can see They're like no bolstering at all, and you know, you kind of flop all over inside of them. So I'm probably gonna get a set of racing seats for this thing, and I'm gonna be putting on my eBay steering wheel. I don't have the seats yet, but I do have the steering wheel, so we might pick up in a little while with getting the steering wheel. I did forget to mention that the suspension will probably be exactly where I want it once I have a B series inside of the engine bay, because the single cam obviously doesn't weigh as much as the B series, and once the B series is in there, you know, I feel like the suspension will be freaking mint. What is up, guys? What is up, guys? So I got the suspension all dialed in until I get my alignment, that is, and I'm pretty happy, like I said. So next I'm moving on, and we are going to be installing this eBay steering wheel that I picked up. This thing was like 35 bucks shipped to my door with the hub adapter and everything, so I'm very happy about that. I actually really like the design of this wheel. It comes out quite a ways, so it should be closer to the driver, and it is very lightweight. It feels very sturdy too, so not no piece of junk. I've had some eBay steering wheels that actually bent because they were so thin and like just wasn't a very good material, metal, but this one seems to be pretty decent. I can put the link in the description if you guys want to know where I got this steering wheel exactly, but it's just on eBay. It's like the cheapest one they had on there with the hub and everything as a kit. This spacer thing, a washer, another spacer looking thing, and then this like ring right here, and then all the necessary hardware, and then the horn wiring, and yeah. So first we're gonna have to take off the old ugly looking steering wheel. Now to remove the steering wheel, you just have to take off this tab right here on both sides. This is just like the screws to hold in the airbag. And it's recommended that you pull the battery off before you do this, so I'm going to do that next. Alright guys, now that we got the two screws removed from the airbag, this thing just pulls right out. Just like so. And then it's got a plug-in on the back that just clips in down here. Alright. So there's going to be a 19mm nut right in the center of the steering wheel here. And you just pop this sucker off. They can be kind of stubborn to come off sometimes, so you just got to hit it with a hammer or, you know, just beat on it a little bit. And then you have you know, a bunch of ramen noodles that come with it. This is for the airbag, I believe, or something. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, there we are. So now I'm going to remove this airbag unit right here. Just a Phillips head screwdriver, I think. And then maybe some screws around the bezel here, so I might have to take this off as well. These are just two Phillips head screws on the bottom side. And yeah, this whole thing should come off. Alright guys, so now that we got the old steering wheel and airbag removed, we can start the installation of our new steering wheel. And like I said, it comes with this hub, and it comes with the steering wheel horn button, which I will not be running just because I don't feel like wiring it. It's not that big of a deal. And then it comes with this little sleeve right here, and I'm unsure what this is for or why they give it to you, but I'm probably not going to be running it because I don't think you need to use it. And then this is obviously the hub that slides onto the splines for the steering wheel. And then the, you know, the horn button with this little silver machine spacer thing fits on like this. And then the steering wheel is going to bolt onto that, just like so. So what I'm going to be doing first is I'm actually just going to bolt the hub on with the steering wheel and position the wheel where it needs to be. Alright guys, so I have the steering wheel kind of just test fit on here currently to see where everything's sitting, and I'm just kind of driving it, and I'm repositioning the wheel to see exactly where I want it, you know, and lining the splines up. So right now I'm driving straight and the wheel is crooked, so I'm just gonna pop it off and straighten it out. There we go. I'll try that. That seems pretty good right there. Guys, so now that I have the hub bolted on exactly where I want it, everything lines up good, the steering wheel straight when I'm driving and everything like that, I'm going to be installing this thing right here, which is just like a shroud for the you know, the back half here, so it doesn't look all gaudy, you know, with the hub sticking out. So that piece just pushes on like that. It's just kind of a press fit deal. And then we're going to be putting our horn button on, which bolts on just like so. And then the steering wheel goes over it. So I'm just going to get all this stuff bolted on, and then we should be good to go. Alright guys, that's what the finished product is looking like. This thing is freaking solid. Like, I can't even move it. It's just freaking rock solid. I love it. I love the look of it. I love the feel, the shape, the size of it. It's perfect. This is awesome for 40 bucks or 35 bucks, whatever it was. I really do think it looks good with this little hub cover here and everything. It's nice and race car like. I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. Mint. So that's going to probably wrap it up for this video. I know some of the stuff I'm doing lately, like, you know, suspension, and I put a steering wheel on and all that kind of stuff. It's not really HunterTuned style, but you know, I'm just kind of showing you what I'm doing to my own car. And this is some stuff that I kind of like. I like to have a nice steering wheel, and I like to have, you know, some suspension stuff done and whatnot. And I didn't do a lot of this stuff on my CRX when I had it, because I feel that car wasn't really worth the time to put. It wasn't really worth the time to put money into, or, you know, parts or anything. But this car, on the other hand, is awesome. I'm really starting to like it. It's coming to shape. It's coming to, you know, be to my liking. And yeah. So yeah, if you guys enjoy this video, smack that like button and subscribe if you guys are new. And we will see you tomorrow for another HunterTuned video.